We'll get in trouble again.
Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Sunday, the 1st of December. Holiday season's in full effect. You've had your Black Friday, your Brown Friday. You know, that has to deal with your plumbing and your grease traps and all that. And you got your getting your shop on. But anyway, you spend time to come with us because we have a man of many talents. The man, the legend, the muralist, coming from the Avalon Rapids stop. Ladies and gentlemen, we're bringing to the stage Luther Johnson.
Rolling with the Public Enemy, that's it, man.
I had to. I saw it in the background. I had to bring it back.
Yeah. Oh, that's my jump.
Yeah. Oh, welcome.
Oh, man, thanks for having me, man. This is great.
Yes. So where are you at right now?
San Antonio, Texas.
Okay. AARP. No, USAA.
USAA.
And Walter Reed. Yes.
Yep.
There you go.
I was at USAA for just under 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how we actually wound up moving here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Riverwalk. You be hanging out on the Riverwalk?
You know what? The Riverwalk is cool, but I only go to the Riverwalk if somebody comes in from out of town and they want to go somewhere. So we take them to the Riverwalk, eat a whole bunch of food, do some sightseeing and come back. So living here, I don't spend any time down there at all.
Is it true what Charles Barkley says about the Riverwalk?
Oh, about some of the biggins?
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. Kind of, sort of.
So, man. All right. Well, hey, man, we kind of go on this little journey. We paddle down the river. You kind of take us where we go. We drop in, ask questions, what have you. We bear witness. You got stories to tell. You can also do diss outs, everything else, if you need to. Anyway, tell us about where did it start for Luther Johnson?
Where did it start?
Yeah. How did you end up in Shaker?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Okay. Well,
we go way back.
Yeah, way back. I moved to Shaker when I was about 4. Okay. So I've been in Shaker for some time, and a lot of us probably had parents that wanted the better schools for the kids, and all of us born in the mid '60s. We were born during the Civil Rights era. Yeah. So growing up post Civil Rights era, a lot of our parents, being socially conscious, they wanted to give us a leg up, so they wanted us to be with a good school system. And one thing that I learned about Shaker relatively recently, like maybe 7-8 years ago, was that there was a reward system for keeping people in Shaker, encouraging Black people to come to Shaker and build a family, but also rewarding other people not to leave, so you don't have the customary white flight. Yeah. So we had both. So where we grew up was almost like an echocasm of some sort, a microcosm rather, of like a social experiment. Mm-hmm. Black and white folks together, growing up together, getting to know each other and everything. And I am so thankful that my parents made that initiative to put me in an environment like Shaker, because I was surrounded by good Black folks, good white folks, good Asian folks, good Jewish. We were around so many really cool people. Yeah. And bottom line, if you didn't like somebody, it had nothing to do with their race, religion, or any of that. If you didn't like them, it was because they were an asshole. It's pretty much that simple. And I'm so thankful because now as an adult living in Texas, I see a lot of people didn't have that. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing a lot of Black folks that have this very weird fear, discomfort, anxiety around people that don't look like them. Right. Whether white, Asian, Indian, or whatever, they just feel really uncomfortable. Whereas I'm cool because I grew up with everybody. Yeah. And back when I was living in Houston, there's a community out that way called the Woodlands. And it's an affluent suburb of Houston. And it really reminded me of Shaker. I felt so comfortable and at home there. One of my jobs was actually in the Woodlands, so I spent a lot of time there. And my wife has a friend, like one of her keyboardists lives in Houston. She had a show in the Woodlands, and he was there. He just kept confiding in me about how uncomfortable he was there.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, wow, really? And I wanted to just lay in the street and just make snow angels in the gravel. I was comfortable, you know, but he was really like disturbed by it.
Yeah.
And so listening to his testimonies and other people that say similar stuff, I'm just so thankful that my parents took the initiative, you know, to move me to a place like Shaker, where we had, you know, arithmetic, science, you know, reading and everything else. And we had a planetarium at our school. You know, we had so much cool stuff. You know, you could look out of the window from one of the classrooms and see $1 million mansions across the street along the Oval.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, if you could see it, Billy Abshaw. Oh, hell no, my boy. Oh, that's tight. Oh, man. The tetherball champion. Ain't nobody missing. Billy was a beast on that tetherball, boy. but back what I was saying, you know, I've always believed that if you could see it, you could achieve it. So if you could see $1 million houses, you know, across from your high school, that means that it's not that out of reach. And that should be normal for us, you know. So right. I'm just very glad that, you know, my parents made that initiative. Plus, you know, I was surrounded by really, really cool people growing up too, you know. Yeah. Had it really good. And I know a lot of our classmates tried to replicate that experience for their offspring, you know. And it's not that easy, you know, because we grew up at a certain time where we were socially aware and you were surrounded by really good people and people really put forth the effort to make it work. Yeah. And I'm just glad I grew up at that time, you know.
And also too, I mean, we were at the dawn of technology that we're experiencing today. So we were still kind of rooted in non-tech, you know, orientation, I guess.
Analog.
Analog, that's the word. Analog.
You had to talk to somebody face to face.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. It was a girl you liked, you had to muster up the courage to say something.
Yeah.
You know, and ain't none of this crap. You know, none of this.
Yeah. Speaking of that, remember like back in the day, you could write on paper, will you go with me? Yes or no?
Yeah, yes or no, check this box.
That'd be cool to bring that back though. You know?
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
But and anyway, I used to rely on the magic 8 ball before I'd even.
Oh yeah, shake it.
Will she go out with me? Will she go out with me?
Yeah.
Hey, the 8 ball is the truth. I got one on my desk. Helps me with everything.
Oh, you mean you still got your 8 ball?
I mean, I got one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
how about that paper thing that was origami like? It was triangular. You moved it, and then you opened it up, and then it gave you the answer.
Oh, that's old school.
Oh man,
that's old school for real.
So, Luther, I never knew. Did you have any siblings, or were you just the only child?
Brother.
I have a younger brother.
Really?
Yeah, my younger brother, Liddell Johnson. He's also an artist. Actually, if you go into high school, my mural is on one wall. His mural is directly across the hall from mine.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, his mural is directly across the hall from mine.
And what was his mural?
I think it was 96 or 95. I can't quite remember, but it's when Shaker left the Lake Erie League.
Yeah.
So he named it like the end of an era or something like that.
Okay.
And it's a Shaker Raider standing on the chest of a Shaw Cardinal, and he's like stabbing a Heights Tiger or doing something weird. You know, he's dogging the rest of the Lake Erie League. So yeah. Yeah.
They need to send that out.
So Liddell's is across the hall from mine.
Okay, that's a great factoid, man. Personally, I never knew you had a younger brother. He's
9 years younger than me, so so you likely wouldn't have met him because 9-year difference. But yeah.
So Luther, tell me about your childhood. I grew up down the street from you, 3 houses from Lomond School, and I met you at Lomond Day Camp.
Yep.
So tell me about your friends. Tell me about how that was. I can look at your Facebook page and see you playing in the snow with your brother and at certain holidays. Tell me about growing up on Lomond near the Lee Road section.
You know, what's funny is that I grew up on a really good street too. You know, grew up on Lindholm. One of my closest friends growing up, Eric Harris, he lived across the street, a few houses over. So we hung out all the time. He went to Moreland for a while until he went to Sussex for a year. But we would hang out. Actually, Eric is the first friend I remember making by myself as a little boy.
Okay.
You know, I remember going across the street, knocking on the side door and asking his mom if Eric could come out and play.
Oh.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, all the friends I had were my mama's friends. You know how like your mama had friends that had kids and you had to play with them and all that. I remember mom had a friend who had a son named Philip. I ain't like Philip, but I remember Philip. What the hell with Philip? I'm glad I met Eric. But but yeah, did that. And also on my street, you had you had Dwayne Wilson, you had Michelle Campbell, Anthony Campbell, you had Angie and Lisa Matthew. They were my direct next door neighbor. You had Joey Morrow way down the street, Peter Crowley on the other side of the street. And we all used to just hang out. David Dickerson was on my street too. You know, and we used to just hang out and have fun as kids.
Do you remember
the Colemans? The Colemans lived on Lindholm. Riley Coleman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember Riley?
That was my dad's poker buddy.
Really? He was my next door neighbor.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Riley Coleman and his wife, her name was Twuzzy. I don't know if that's her real name, but
yeah. And they had like a little daughter. They had a daughter.
Nikki.
Yeah. Wow.
She's probably gorgeous now because she's a pretty little girl. She's probably a showstopper now.
Yeah, man.
Do you remember Danny Bird? He moved away. White kid, big buck teeth, really friendly kid. There was Matt LaWarn and Chris LaWarn.
I remember the little Warrens. Yep.
I can't find Danny Bird. I've always looked for him on Facebook. And
I don't know.
I think he moved to Alabama or
down
south somewhere.
Thank goodness for Facebook because it's hard to keep up with people otherwise. But if you're not on Facebook, it's hard to track folks down.
Yeah.
So
what activities? I know you learned to draw. Were you into comic books? I know we had a wiffle ball league. Were you involved in Chapman's wiffle ball league?
Man, you bring it old school, man.
Oh yeah, I got a lot. I got a list right here.
Yeah, I remember Dana Mitchell was a beast with that wiffle ball, man. Dana was just nasty. But yeah, the wiffle ball thing was cool. Like most young boys, I was into comic books. I thought I would draw from Marvel to DC as I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't happen. But one of my classmates from art school does draw for DC. He draws the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern for DC.
Mm-hmm.
And he does it remotely, so he still lives in Columbus while he draws for DC. So that's kind of
cool. Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. But yeah, good dude, Daryl Banks. He's a good cat. We went to school together in Columbus. But I thought I'd be a comic book character. I mean, a comic book artist.
Well, you were a character.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you were a character. You're always outgoing and you know.
Yeah, but I got into mural painting for a while. Did that. Like the painting at Shaker was my first mural, like the first one I ever did. But then after that, I worked with a company where we had a contract.
Wait a minute. High school. We got to go to Byron. We got to go to high school. I know where you went to college.
Okay. Well, I went to Woodbury.
Moreland. Okay.
Yeah. After Moreland did Woodbury, played football there, hung out, had a good time. You know, I'm part of the art community there, did all that stuff. That was around the time when I first started doing artwork for money.
Okay.
You know, I didn't really understand that until I kind of got into the art business then. So that was interesting. And then from Woodbury, you know, of course, I went to Shakers and I had my own little art side hustle there, doing stuff.
Like,
And
what would you do? What would you do?
a lot of people like caricatures.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, draw a picture of my mama, draw a picture of my son, draw a picture of, so I did a lot of portrait work.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I make it like a caricature comical type thing, like you find it like Cedar Point or something. You
Yeah.
like that sort of stuff. And I started doing that stuff. And I sold a lot of those. And then I got into calligraphy, where I would do like fancy script writing.
Oh.
So a lot of people had me doing a lot of calligraphy for
So how did you find this talent? Do you have anyone in your family that is known for being an artist?
all the men in my family are artistically inclined.
Okay.
Oh,
My
wow.
dad, my brother,
Yeah.
my uncle on my dad's side, like pretty much most of the guys on my father's side draw. I was the only one that actually went to art school to try and refine it as a career.
Yeah.
But everybody else is, they draw for fun and, pretty good at it. But I was the only one that went professional.
So who are you hanging out with? Did you have art buddies that you did comics with, or how did you get jobs?
Artistically, one of my boys, Scott Griffin,
Yes.
and Kashmir Bell, those two.
Yeah.
And Anna Loney also. I don't know if you remember Anna. She sort of.
Yes. Yeah.
Anna was a mean colorist, and she was very good too.
Wow.
But I would say Scott and Kush, we had like a friendly rivalry because all of our styles were very different, but all of us were passionate about art.
Mhm.
And I'd like to think that all of us made each other better, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we all had our different styles, but also Priscilla Parati. I'm not sure if she knows this. Well, Igram, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ab, Igram.
No.
I ain't trying to get dealt with. But Priscilla was a very strong colorist too, and I'm not sure if I told her that to her face. Really, my strength is black and white. That's my strength. I'm pretty good with color, but I have to really think about it and labor it. For her, it was just natural. She was just a really good colorist. Yeah.
You know what I remember? I don't mean to interrupt you, but in Mr. Hoffman's course, I remember your project.
Yeah.
We had the metamorphosis of turning something into an animal. And I remember your project. You turned it into a lizard.
Oh, really? So you remember more than I do. I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. I had never.
Okay.
Nobody in the school had the talent that you had.
Oh,
well,
that's nice.
It was crazy.
Yeah, and Billy just reminded me of something. All of us were at Moreland. Me, Scott, and Kush. We kind of stayed in the art community from like little boys because we all went to Moreland together, Woodbury together, and Shaker together. So yeah.
You got any Moreland memories?
The best one is probably kickball. We took kickball serious at Moreland. It was, and I remember in 4th grade, I was in Miss Gessler's class, and we had a 4th grade class. Back then, you pretty much had 2 teachers per grade at Moreland, and we wound up teaming up with the other 4th grade class to play the 6th graders, and we beat them, and we talked trash so long forever about whooping on the 6th graders in kickball. Yeah, our 4th grade class was mean. So yeah, I do enjoy those type of memories because I think a lot of that even kind of went into how we would really have a lot of camaraderie on the football field too. Like it went from kickball to to football.
Yeah.
We all just played really well together. We were like a team from like little boys. So
I have a memory of you from junior high school. We all had Mr. Quinones as our gym teacher.
Q. Yeah. He passed away a little while ago too.
Yeah, R.I.P. With the dunk on the shoulder. Ah!
Yeah.
But I remember he was giving us a lecture about something, and you were just sitting there like, "That's some bull."
Yep.
He looked at you and he said something again to you, and you like, "That's some bull."
Yeah, and I remember it vividly because I mean, he took me out in the hallway and poked me in the chest and cussed me out. But
Yeah.
I mean, cute cussing. I mean, it was child appropriate. But and it's funny that Billy is on the chat because it was about Billy Abshaw too.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember this very well because we were in the bleachers. It was like early. It's like maybe the first or second day of school.
Yeah.
And they were introducing themselves, and we're in the bleachers talking. And it was Q's first time meeting Billy Abshaw. And he commented on how he looked like his older sister. And then somebody says something stupid, about, looking like a girl or something, something dumb. I can't remember quite what that was.
Yeah.
And then, the class chuckled. And then Q sort of singled me out and said, "You look more like a girl than he does." I was like, "Whoa, where'd that come from?" And then that's when I replied, "Bull."
Yeah.
And then we went back and forth, and I wasn't going to back down because by then he called me out, and no.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. So then after that, he took me out in the hallway and fussed at me.
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, come on, Q, come on." But yeah. We laughed about it years later.
Yeah.
He still finds it funny.
I just remember you were just so nonchalant. That's some bull.
Yeah.
I thought you went to Lomond, so I'm going to have to ask you about day camp.
I was at Lomond day camp, though. I was at Lomond day camp.
Yeah. Tell me your memories about that. I was trying to bring. I was poking Craig Dodell because he used to be a cut up too. You wouldn't know it now.
Yeah, too. Yeah. But I'm really glad I went there too because that's where I met a whole other group of friends.
Yeah.
It's where I met Steve Duffett. I met Butch Byers. I met, I think I met Craig Dowdell there. I think I met, a bunch of people I met there for the first time, and that was cool.
Yeah.
And that's also where I got exposed to, Swedish dodgeball, bombardment.
Bombardment. Yes.
That, and
I think people have to have some childhood trauma from that. And I'm sure they got their bell rung and all types of stuff.
We just call it a going head hunting,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. But I love Lomond Day Camp. The field trips are always cool. Going to Squaw Rock and Squires Castle.
Yeah. Palmatuming. Remember we go to Palmatuming?
There we go.
How far away was that? That was in Pennsylvania. I couldn't quite equate how we would end up there.
It was that far?
Palmatuming. Yeah, Lake Palmatuming. Yeah.
I know we went to Punderson State Park a lot.
We went to Punderson, but I remember we went to Palmatuming a few times because that was the only time I went.
Okay.
I think we did. I remember going to Punderson, and I walked through the woods, and there was this beagle, and he was barking. I'm like, oh, what a nice beagle. He started foaming at the mouth.
Oh shit.
I ran up on rabies, and I knew what it was, and I was able to back off quickly.
Good. Okay. Yeah.
I'll never forget that. Could you imagine? I mean, what kind of? Well, you think about it. We were pretty independent back then, so probably the counselors didn't really keep up with us. But just imagine what kind of what kind of coordination there had to be to keep us safe and get us back on the bus.
Well, remember back then, kids were getting snatched all the time. We were just the survivors, because we didn't have helicopter moms and dads back then. You just go outside and play, come back when the street light came on, and and it ain't like that now. We all walked to school. We didn't get rides to school unless you lived unusually far. Nowadays, people get rides to school if they're only 4 or 5 blocks up the street.
Oh yeah.
It's just a different day now.
I remember missing the bus and having to hoof it to Byron or Shaker. Well, Shaker, there wasn't a bus, so I just walked.
Yeah, that's crazy.
At least for me, walking from Ludlow to Shaker, it was about a mile. So you're doing 2 miles a day.
Yeah, mine was 2 miles because I was at Lomond.
Yeah,
I'd
you're
walk
other.
all the way down to Avalon, cross the tracks, and
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No,
It's a new day now.
it's just crazy how much has happened in the last 40 years. Like leaps and bounds.
Speaking of Avalon, does anybody still keep up with Jason Grant?
I haven't heard that name in ages.
I remember he used to live on Avalon, like the corner house on Avalon and Lomond.
Yeah, I saw him a lot in the 80s and 90s at this club downtown called The Lift. He was pretty popular then.
Okay.
And that's about the last I've seen of him.
Okay.
Yeah, you remember he used to hang around Jomo and Michael Knight. Those guys were thick as thieves.
Yeah.
And David Eden.
I see Eaton a lot on Facebook. I see him a lot.
Yeah.
I see him a lot. Yeah.
So athletics. You were a football player. Are there other sports that I'm not aware of that you played?
Track too. That's funny. Track and football were like my main things.
Yeah.
I was close. I was this close to playing golf, but golf season is the same as football season, so I had to make a choice. But yeah, I loved football. I mean, I loved it, and I wish I could have gone on to play further. Because I really loved the game. And
did you start in flag, and then I'm trying to find the tracking of you. Were you playing flag football?
The thing about track was my dad pretty much made me run track.
Mm-hmm.
His attitude was, well, what he at least told me, because he used to run track when he went to Glenville. Yeah, and he played. Yeah, he played basketball and ran track, and I played football and ran track. But his attitude was, I need to run track because all of the great wide receivers and running backs ran track. And if I'm going to play football, I better be fast enough to get away. So that was kind of his attitude. So he made me run track. And initially I didn't want to do it, but then I found out I was pretty good at it. I'm like, oh, wow, this is kind of cool. Okay. A track practice still sucks, but the meets can be fun. Because practice still sucks.
I'm sure the bus rides were fun with the girls and all that.
It's funny because we were kind of talking about this before we went live, but there was this post on Facebook about some guys complaining that they saw their high school track team at their 40th reunion, and they say they didn't look good. I'm like, nah, I can't say that because
really, why would they say that?
They just said something about their track team. The girls' track team didn't look good at the reunion. And the ladies that were on our girls' track team that went to the reunion, they still looked amazing. So I'm like, hey, big ups to Shaker.
They're still attractive.
Yeah, attractive. I tell you, man, Shaker like cornered the market on like an excess of pretty girls because even at the reunion, it was on.
So who did you like growing up? Were you a Browns fan, Steelers fan? What were you? Who was your favorite player?
Man, you're bringing up childhood trauma. Okay. The funny thing then is that, I mean, of course I was kind of a Browns fan because I'm in the city. I always wanted them to win. I loved Greg Pruitt back in the day.
Oh yeah.
I was a huge Greg Pruitt fan. But I was a Steeler fan. I was a Steeler fan at heart.
Yeah, I thought so.
And I caught a lot of crap for it, but I love Franco Harris. I was a huge Franco Harris fan. I loved Lynn Swann and John Stallworth. That combo was just nasty.
Wait a minute. You remember Scott Cooper? Do you know where he is?
I haven't seen him in years.
Okay, did you ever go to Scott's house? His dad was a graphic designer or illustrator. He had these ad markers. He did the tightest drawings I'd ever seen of the Steelers and all the NFL players.
That's cool.
Scott, it was unbelievable how accurate these were.
That's cool. Okay.
And in your area across the street, do you know Steve and Ron Wynn? Light-skinned, freckled, red-haired dude.
Yeah.
Their uncle is Gary Thomas. You know who Gary Thomas is?
I do not.
Well, he's passed, but he was an illustrator for the Hall of Fame for Canton. He did a bunch of the drawings. Look him
Ah,
up,
okay.
like when they got inducted. He did Jim Brown and a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
and he did other stuff that you can find.
Stephen Wynn was a pretty good artist too, though.
Yeah, he's a fashion designer.
Yeah, Steve wasn't bad. And Steve, damn, I ain't seen Wynn, and wow, I ain't seen him.
You don't know when.
Yeah, I don't know when I seen Steve Wynn, but he was a lot like Scott in some regards, with just being on top of the fashion, just being on it.
Yeah.
You know? And I remember he had a really nice pair of shoes. He just had some badass shoes. Steve knew how to dress.
Yeah, he was the first one I saw wear those jodhpurs in the 80s. The riding pants.
Yeah. Wow. I hadn't even thought of Steve Wynn in years. I wonder how he's doing. I hope he's doing good. Yeah.
Shout out there to anybody who knows where Steve Wynn is at. Let us know.
Yeah, let us know, man. I wouldn't mind catching up with him, man, because he was cool. He was cool.
So anyway, the Steelers, you played football, you ran track, then you got to Byron.
Woodbury.
Oh, damn, why do I think you're at Byron?
I don't know why you're doing that, man.
Because you're on the bus. I just assumed that you're on our bus with Edie and all that. And
I went from Moreland to Woodbury to Shaker.
Okay.
And,
yeah, I thought you were with us.
Now my brother was at Byron. You know, when they changed the school systems around and did all that, he wound up at Byron. But you know what? It's not even called Byron now. It's called like middle school or something.
Yeah, Shaker Middle School.
Yeah, Shaker Middle School. It's not even called Byron anymore.
And we got the 911 last week that they're going to tear that down.
Really?
Byron.
Why?
Yeah. Because they're landlocked and they don't need it anymore, and I guess they're remodeling Woodbury, and the population is down, so they're going to take that area and turn it into like where the sledding hill is. What is it?
Thornton.
Yes.
Thornton. They're going to make it like a sports complex, which they need. There is no place. They had no good baseball fields or anything around there, so hopefully that's what that turns out.
Wait, Byron didn't have a field?
Well, they did, but compared to other cities, and even now, I mean, compared to Cleveland Heights, I mean, each neighborhood had a neighborhood swimming pool. They had that big ice rink with 4 different, rinks and basketball courts and stuff.
Wow. It's not like I have an emotional attachment to Byron because I never went there, but I hate to see them just tear it down.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a relatively new building, especially compared to Woodbury, because it's a much newer building than the Woodbury building is.
Yeah.
69 was Byron.
Yeah.
69.
Wow. Okay. Well, I feel some sort of way about that, but okay.
And Shaker got lights, for night games.
I heard about that. My understanding was that they did not have lights for so long because it's in the middle of a residential community.
Yeah.
And the people around there didn't want the lights at night. So I don't know what happened to make that change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you got to think about it too. With some of these games now, they have to have them during the daytime because of the rowdiness that will happen depending on the team.
I think that's why they never wanted the lights there to begin with, just to help just deal with that,
Yeah.
Now they have the lights there. Now it's another issue they got to fight.
Where were you that night of the Shaker basketball game that turned into Bedlam and infamy? Were you there?
That crazy melee fight. Who were we playing?
I think it might have been Shaw.
Was it Shaw?
Yeah.
I remember I was in the parking lot, and I remember I'm standing there next to Kelly Valentine and Donna Flinker. I'm just talking to them, and everyone around us just went crazy.
Yeah. And
I'm standing like, okay, what do I do here? Because I'm not trying to fight nobody. I ain't trying to run from nobody. Yeah. I don't want to. Oh, okay. Billy says it was Shaw. Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember having these 2 ladies with me. I'm like, okay, I don't want to leave them.
Right.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Man, Billy's like a straight historian, man. Look at him go.
Yes. Billy comes with the receipts.
Right?
With the facts.
But but I didn't want to just leave the girl, you know, the ladies. I'm like, okay, so I need to stay here. Say some weird stuff go down. So it was just weird. Yeah.
Who did you hang with in high school? Who was your closest friend in high school?
People I hung out with? Funny. I hung out with, I had different cliques.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because how high schools are, you have your cliques in high school. I hung out with some of the jocks on occasion, which, Eric Harris, James Wilson, Butch Byers, that group. And then, I was kind of an art dude. So then I'd hang with Scott Cush, Aneloni. And then I would hang with just some other people I would just enjoy just chopping it up with, like Marty Ezell. Marty is just fucking hilarious. Marty and Kelly Valentine and Donna Flinker, like the two ladies I mentioned earlier, and Meg Christie, and
isn't Marty in Texas? And he's an actor, isn't he?
Marty is an actor, financial advisor I think he's in Dallas. I know
he's a part-time actor because I saw him on a Corona commercial with one of the Mannings.
He's in commercials semi-regularly here. Mm-hmm. Like in Texas, we have a a grocery store chain here called HEB. Mm-hmm. Here everything's better, so it's called HEB. And he's in a lot of those local grocery store commercials.
Yeah, I've seen him nationally because I don't live in Texas, so of course I've come across him nationally.
Yeah, yeah. Marty's a good dude, man. I've always been fond of Marty. Cracks me up. He looks good too. He looks exactly the freaking same.
So do you.
Oh, you're kind.
Marty, no, really. Where's your gray hair? I barely see it.
This is called dye job.
Well, I'm talking about your hair. I'm talking about you still got your hairline.
Up here is all me. But I didn't dye this.
But you didn't recede at all. You didn't recede at all.
No. I didn't recede. Marty looks like he's about 30.
Wow.
His genetics are less ridiculous.
Yeah.
But he looks great, man. And So that's cool. That's cool.
There's another guy who's on commercials. He goes by another name, Jeff. What's Jeff's? We used to call him Jed. Jeff Harris.
Yeah.
He's on Nash. He's an actor. That's what he does. And I saw him on like some commercial for a pharmaceutical thing. I forgot.
Good shit.
Yeah. That area. Well, you moved from there. I didn't know that you'd moved, but all around there's a lot of people did some cool things, and around Avalon and back towards Lee Road and those Strathavon, Reedham.
Shay could produce some talent. I think that one, our parents having resources helps. Being confident that we were going to eat that day, not worried about electricity being turned off. Just not worried about goofy stuff a lot of other people worry about. I think that put us in a place to where we could just focus on excellence. I think that's a big deal, and just having a certain level of comfort really helps you just think about stuff, where you can just enjoy just learning.
How were you as a student? Because all those kids over in that area seemed like they were very astute, and a lot of them ended up going to HBCUs, which I was like Bruce Red and Chapman.
Bruce Red, that was my cat too. Yeah. Ralston, I think, right?
Yeah, Ralston.
Yeah. Bruce was cool. Yeah, he's in Atlanta now. My grades were cool. I graduated with like a 3-something.
Yeah, that's good.
3.2, 3, three something.
And that's good for that school system for sure.
And it's not like I didn't really try. I did my work. I did what I was supposed to do, but it's not like I was really pressured about getting that A. Mm-hmm. but we also had something at Shaker too that I wish I implemented across the board. And I didn't know this wasn't customary until I had stepsons. But we had something where if you played a sport, you had to be eligible to participate in the game that week. And you had to go to each teacher and they would mark your eligibility on a sheet of paper.
They don't have that anymore?
No. Wow. You had to turn it into the coach, and based upon that sheet of paper, they let you know if you were eligible to play that week. And what I learned was with my stepson, he didn't have the eligibility stuff. It was totally separate. You could fail every single test that week and still play in the game. I'm like, whoa, we can't have this. No. So I kind of had to step up more just to really like monitor what he was doing, because there weren't these safeguards in place at the school to sort of help you out as far as checking that sort of thing. It was wild. So I'm really glad that Shaker had that, because that's one of the things that helped keep me honest too. Because I wanted to play. I didn't want my grades to dip. So I made sure that my grades were high enough to where I could participate. Yeah.
So when did you start to show out were you a running back at Woodbury?
I was a running back at Woodbury. Oh man, we're really dating ourselves now. Back then, they were called fullbacks. You don't even see fullbacks anymore. No. Man, we're getting old. Yeah, we ran something called a full house offense, which was halfback, fullback, halfback, and a QB up front. And I was a fullback. Back then I was a little bit bigger than a lot of the other running backs, so it just made sense to put me there.
Like a Pete Johnson. Ohio State, Cincinnati, yeah.
There we go, yeah. And I was there at Woodbury, and then I just transitioned over to Shaker. I just wish I could have played longer at Shaker because I wound up tearing my knees up and I couldn't finish the season.
And I remember I didn't attend a lot of games or whatever, but I remember seeing you in crutches, and then it started to come back at the reunion. How many years did you play at Shaker? And then when was the injury? And do you remember the injury? When it happened?
I actually had two. One, I broke my left foot, and I broke my left foot. So I had this
what year? What year was that? Who was that against?
It was junior year. It was in practice. It was just a freak accident too. It's nobody's fault. But then I tore my ACL senior year. I couldn't finish the season. And that's and it still bothers me now. I every now and then I get a little cocky. I start feeling good. I might run to the mailbox. Nah. So and at the top of the call, you guys were talking about the kickball game at the reunion. No way could I have played. I'm certain I'd have ripped something or twisted something or so. Yeah.
Just lifting your leg. I can't even imagine it.
Oh man, it was hell. But yeah, so but I love football. I think our coaching staff was great. And this is funny. I wound up telling somebody this story a little while ago. I'm not sure if you remember Coach Raymond and Coach T. Kelly.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I was the manager of the football team.
Right. Okay.
Me and Keith Asamoto.
That's my dude.
Yeah.
But Raymond was, I want to be careful how I say this because he was a good dude.
Yeah.
He would say stuff that was racially insensitive. Okay? And in today's climate, he wouldn't get away with it. But
of course not. No. Yeah.
And I remember one day we were all in the auditorium. It was like just beginning of football season. And Raymond was talking. And he's talking to us about the previous season and how we lost his game. And we lost the game against Lakewood. And he was talking about how we lost and how they won. It was like a long bomb. The quarterback threw a bomb, receiver caught it and ran for the touchdown. And Raymond actually said out loud, I was surprised when he scored because I wasn't worried because one of our colored kids will catch him. And when he said our colored kids will catch him, and the whole auditorium just got quiet, and he got this panicked look on his face,
As he
As
should
goofy
have.
as I am, I just started laughing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm busted out laughing. Then everyone else started laughing. Then I could see him. They're like, "Whew, okay."
Yeah.
So he
You
thought
saved
about
us.
what he said, and yeah. But yeah. But if that were to happen now, I mean, it'd be a hashtag. It'd be online. It'd be on Instagram, and he just lose his job over some shit.
Yeah.
But back then, it was actually kind of funny. You know.
Right. Yeah.
But
Well, let me ask you: were you more of a blocking back, or did you get the ball? I mean, who were you in the backfield with?
It was like Smith, right?
Steve Smith was a lot. Steve was a good player.
That's right. That's right.
Steve was fast. Steve, he had great. Well, I mean, people knew he was fast. They knew he was strong, but his peripheral vision was good.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him pull this move where he can avoid somebody that's coming up behind him, and I'm like, how the hell you see him?
Yeah.
To dodge. I'm like, how the hell you see that shit? You know,
Yeah.
Steve was good at evading people you think he couldn't see.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I found that amazing about Steve. So, yeah, word up to Steve. But
Well, let me ask you this: you told me at the reunion that you lost, like Michigan State had some interest in you, and because of your ACL tear,
yes,
that went away. Did Steve have interest, or did any of that team go on to play like
You know,
Division I school?
Our team was really weird because we had a great team and we had talented people. But if you look at the Hall of Fame on the board at Shaker, no one from 84 is up there.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
as a team, we were amazing, but we
Mhm.
didn't have any really out there standout
Right.
athletes where we were just sought after like that. So
Right.
if Steve did went on to play Division I or Division II ball, I don't know.
I mean, did you hear about who was being looked at or anything, or did everyone just kind of keep that to
Everyone was
themselves?
kind of quiet about it. Like they didn't make a big deal about me being looked at. Just one day I went in to the school, and I think my homeroom teacher handed me this letter. It was in a manila envelope, and it was from the University of Michigan State University.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was very informal the way I was like notified.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it came from the coach.
Right.
I received this letter from my homeroom teacher.
So the coaches weren't promoting you or sending out game film or anything like that?
I think the coaches were, but my notification didn't come from Raymond.
Okay.
It came from my homeroom teacher, which was kind of weird. And I didn't even know he pitched my name. I'm just straight surprised. I get this letter. I'm like, what's this? You know, and I was on their mailing list. So I got maybe 3 or 4 letters throughout the course of my senior year because I guess I was being wooed by them or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that seemed kind of surprising because I had no idea. So they were the main ones pitching, but it was also Indiana and Syracuse. Like those two schools were also approaching me, but Michigan State was the one that made the hardest pitch. They were the one coming at me the hardest.
Because our kickers, we've got some notable kickers that went to
Harris.
Went to Cincinnati.
What's it? Harris. What's his name? Good looking dude.
Played baseball.
Harris's brother.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Oh my God, what's his name? Oh man, I should remember his name. I mean, real tall dude, good looking cat, could kick the shit out of the ball, and I cannot remember his name.
And then you had Ghulam Khan, 85.
Ghulam came after this guy because this guy was an upperclassman.
Right.
Ghulam was cool. Burkhart was a kicker for a minute too.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Burkhart was.
Yeah.
And both of them were pretty good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Phil is in Cleveland. Yeah.
Oh, he is?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a motorcycle
That's
cop.
because he's still a law enforcement officer, right?
Yeah, he's a motorcycle cop. Yeah.
Yes.
He's really retiring soon, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a veteran too.
Yeah. I didn't know he was a vet. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Hoorah. Okay. Yeah, good for him. Yeah. Yeah, I worked in law enforcement briefly, and I got to give props to people that do it. I don't have the patience or temperament.
You've had an interesting life. Okay, let's go to college. Let's go to college.
Yeah.
The Ohio State University.
Go Bucks!
Yesterday.
college.
Yeah.
I did actually study a little bit at Ohio State, but where I got my degree from was actually the Columbus College of Art and Design.
Right.
Oh yeah, CCAD. Yes.
But I pledged my fraternity at Ohio State. So I actually spent probably more time on Ohio State's campus than my own campus.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but man,
what were you majoring in? What was your
on art school?
I mean, in Ohio State, did you start at art school at Ohio State?
No, I started at CCAD.
Oh, you started at CCAD
Yeah,
and then went Ohio State. Okay.
Yeah, I only took a few
Well, that's only 2 years, right? That was only 2 years, CCAD.
No, CCAD was a 4.5-year school. It took me 5
4
years.
and a half? Okay. That's like CIA. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know why I thought that. I
wasn't as diligent as I should have been, but yeah, it took me 5 years to get out. And my major was illustration,
Mm-hmm.
and I had minors in fine art and ad design. And illustration seemed like a natural fit for me. And I'm more of a fine artist now, but I don't do that much work anymore. But I don't do much illustrative work now. Mm-hmm. When I do find time to draw or paint something, it's more of on the fine art side.
Mm-hmm.
But but the wild thing is that, and one thing I gripe about all creative institutions, it teaches you to craft, and this is with music or anything else. It teaches you to craft, but it doesn't teach you the business.
Right.
And I hate the art business. I hate it. Filling a blank piece of paper or canvas, I love that part. But the business side is the part that I really hate.
Here's something you don't remember. I interviewed you on one of your job interviews. Do you remember?
What was this?
At the Ohio Historical Society, exhibit design.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember you had an illustration in your portfolio. You had your shirt off and you were holding pencils.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's my logo at the time. Yeah.
You don't remember me interviewing you?
I do not remember that.
Wow.
I don't. I guess.
I never forget. I've had an uninteresting life. See,
you have this brain of a steel trap, remembering all this childhood stuff. I don't know how you remember.
I don't know either. I really don't.
You retain.
It's almost embarrassing, to be quite honest. It's very embarrassing.
Yeah, man, that's wild. But yeah.
So, did you get into the art profession, or I saw you holding cameras? So, how did you go from CCAD to? Did you worked as in advertising for a while? How long did that work? How long did you do that?
I didn't work in advertising. However, I did work for a I'd just say like a graphics art mill for a while. I worked for a company called Alexander Enterprises, and we had a few major contracts with some of the auto suppliers, and we would develop these dashboards that we would sell to like the Ford Motor Company or whoever, that would be backlit to show like the, power and gauges and all that stuff. I would do the graphic design for those.
Okay.
And it was work.
Were you doing that with a drawing board, or were you doing that on a computer at that point?
Everything was on the drawing board back then. Like this is
blueprints. Yeah, that's crazy.
This is 1980. No, about 1990, 91, around there. And and this goes back to how I was saying we didn't learn the business in undergrad, because I knew virtually nothing about college. So I graduated obsolete because they wanted people that had computer experience, and I grew up and didn't have any. Now like I knew how to use Rubylith, Amberlith, Zippertone, that sort of stuff, like where you cut my X-Acto blades.
Oh my God.
But I graduated obsolete out the gate. So I kind of had to pick up my computer information later. And so when I left Alexander Enterprises, I became a mural painter. Okay. So we had contracts with Les Wexner's stores.
Wow.
So we would paint Bath and Body Work ginghams. You might not remember this, but I'm sure your ladies will remember. If you went to the limited stores, you might see like this great big picture of like a Napoleon on a horse, or
Yeah.
these or these Victorian paintings of some woman in a meadow with swinging on a swing. We painted those. So we were commissioned to paint these Victorian era simulated paintings.
So those were on the ground. You weren't high in the air like on the billboards or anything. That was.
We were on scaffolds. We're on scaffolds painting, and we would do it. The places in like where we would paint would be in a warehouse. We would staple them to this enormous wall. They'd be like maybe 15 feet wide by maybe 12 feet high. We'd staple them up there. We would prime them with gesso or white house paint, and then we would paint them on the canvas, take them down from the wall, and then deliver them where they went, and then they would be assembled on the wall at the store.
So when you say we, what was the process like? Would you submit stuff, or would they?
Oh no, they would give us the dimensions, and they tell us what was to be painted.
Okay, and you would interpret it the way you wanted, or was there a style that it had to meet?
It had to look like the original because we were doing replications of famous artwork.
Oh,
we had to make it look like that painting.
What did you enjoy? That must have been. Was that stressful, or what was that like?
It was kind of cool, because creative people like to work with other creative people, and when you're painting 8 hours a day every day, you get good at it because you're doing it every day. It's not like school where like you're trying to juggle homework with chasing girls and trying to pay your rent, and when you're working 8 hours a day at a craft among other creative people,
right?
The creative juices are really moving, and you get really good really fast. So thankful for that job because it helped elevate my skill vastly. So that was cool. And then you're surrounded by other creative people. You don't want to be the weak link. You don't want to be the sluggish.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that your stuff is just as tight as the next person or tighter. So that was pretty cool. That was a cool experience.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I left Columbus, and then I wound up going to Detroit, and that's where I learned that I actually had an aptitude for computers.
Okay.
So I started working in television there in Detroit.
And how?
One of my good friends who we were actually roommates at CCAD freshman year, but he only went there freshman year. He went back home to Detroit. He worked at the University Television. He said they were looking for people. I was looking to move. So he said, "Hey, man, I could probably get you in if you just apply and interview." I'm like, "Cool." So I got into the TV business through my boy's hookup. I guess that's nepotism. I don't know, but got in through there, and again, I was surrounded by really creative people, and that was really cool. But this time, it was on a more technical side. It wasn't just straight painting and drawing. This was more on the technical, graphic design, artsy, cutting together videos type side. So that was really cool. I really enjoyed that.
It sounds like the similar path that Charles Chambers was taking. You should watch our podcast. Did you know Charles?
Yeah. Chambers is my cat. Yeah, but we played on the ran track together too.
That's right. Yeah, you would have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, can people do that kind of stuff? Just fall into a category like that?
It's funny we having this conversation. I was talking with a buddy a little while ago, and I have a very eclectic background. And he was saying that it's very interesting that I've done so much different stuff over the years. Some stuff I'm good at, some stuff I suck. Like, you don't want me fixing your car. I'm not a mechanic. I'm not that dude. But most things that are reasonably creative or kind of analytical, I can kind of get it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But yeah, it's funny you bring that up.
Okay, in your linear path through your life, we're taking a trip through your life. Bring up your martial arts as well, but I don't know if it happens here or later on when you
okay. I've been a martial artist in some capacity for over. Okay, I will say prior to COVID, I would say for 30 years, but since COVID, I've been kind of slipping. I mean, I haven't really been on top of it. And that's because with COVID, I had just started training. Just before COVID, I just started training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
And with that, you know, people all in your face and they sweating on you and you're all close.
Mm-hmm.
And not knowing what COVID was, I was like, I ain't gonna mess with it.
Yeah.
So I dropped out then and haven't been back since. I need to get back involved. And I also met a buddy, a good dude, a guy named Joseph De Los Santos. He's one of my senseis here. Something called jiu-jitsu, but it's Aki jiu-jitsu. It's not Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
And I started doing that with him. So I reached a blue belt with him. And as we age, we can't fight the same way we do as we were young.
Yeah.
You know, and what I learned with him was that, you know, like wrist locks and pressure points and that sort of stuff. Because as an old man, I can't be punching some 30-year-old the way I did when I was 30. And I can't kick over my head anymore. You know, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do that.
Well, so, did you compete in tournaments? I could have sworn I saw trophies.
I did.
Okay.
I was pretty active in the AOK NBL circuit. AOK is the Amateur Association of Karate, and Amateur Organization of Karate. That's it. And the NBL is the National Black Belt League. And I used to fight in both of those for a number of years. And I lost kind of interest when I moved from Houston to San Antonio. I was very active in Houston, but when I moved, I kind of lost it. And also when I became a black belt in Bushido Kai Karate, I noticed the political piece that I didn't really see as a brown belt. Because as a brown belt, if you win, you win. If you lose, you lose.
Yeah.
As a black belt, people give grace to the black belts that have dojos and run their own tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
So as a new black belt, although I was in my 40s, I'm still considered new. I might fight somebody my age, but who's been in the game longer. He has his own dojo. The judges will give him favor. So there's been times when I lost fights I should have won because they just catered to him. They wouldn't count some of my blows, but they count some of crap. So I kind of got away from the sparring because it wasn't fair.
Mm-hmm.
If I lose, I lose. You win some, you lose some. But I've lost some fights where I clearly should have won if they judged it properly. And that kind of got me away from sparring as a black belt.
I've seen that up close. Do you know James Long's class of 83?
James Long, that's a talented fighter. If he listens to this, he got skills. I haven't seen him fight up front and in person, but I've seen some of his stuff online, and he's got some good stuff.
He's like, well, last thing I knew, he was the third highest ranked black belt in Ohio. He's a master.
That I didn't know.
And I can justify to that. We both went to CIA.
Okay.
And he got me involved in it. And I was taller. Okay. I was starting as a white belt. And the funny thing was that what I relied on was we were open fighting. We did that all the time.
Okay.
So and you look in the dojos, there's a wall, there's a wood floor, and there's a mat. And between the mat on the wood floor and the wall, there was a damn grate, okay? So I didn't know anything. I was a white belt, but I was keeping him off because I had length. James is 5'10". I was 6'1.5".
Okay.
I was dancing and, keeping him off. I watched Muhammad Ali all my life and just dancing and moving. And they said, 10 seconds left. I looked down. I said, I got him. So I looked down at the grate and I'm like, I don't want to step on that grate. I put my head up. He did a reverse heel kick, hit me right in my temple with the heel. Because, you comic book dudes, you guys are wild. You athletic comic book dudes. I stood up and then went down like a tree. And I said, later on, we laugh about this all the time. I said, did you hear me when I said, this is a test. This is a test of the emergency broadcast because I heard a buzz. And he goes, no, what you were saying was, blah, 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 blah.
Oh yeah. And
Man,
James
that
Jones
is.
is a good artist too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and he's a rock star now. He's with a group called Morning of Black Star that tours Europe, and yeah, you look into him.
Did
Yeah, we'll
not know
talk.
that.
Yeah, he's been doing that for about 7-8 years.
Good. Okay. Yeah. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
He's a good artist, but the dude can scrap. He knows some good stuff.
Don't fuck with him. Do not fuck with him.
His movement's on point.
Yeah. So anyway, I didn't want to. I just kind of throw the stuff in.
Nerd out with the martial arts stuff.
Yeah.
Now, but you did ask how long. I did study Taekwondo briefly when at Shaker.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And, I did briefly then, but I didn't really get immersed in it.
And you didn't wrestle? You didn't wrestle? I was surprised.
I wish I did.
Okay.
I give, and because you know James wrestled, my boy did, he wrestled and he was good. We were the same size. He wrestled at 155 and I was weighing over 180, but we could wear the same clothes. Yeah, like we were the same size, but I was almost 30 pounds heavier than he was. Like that's like crazy to me.
Yeah, it is crazy.
But I wish I had wrestled because now that I understand combat better, if you're a good boxer and a good wrestler, you can mop a good 85% of the people you meet.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to know the other stuff. And plus, I was kind of arrogant. I played football. I was pretty good. Mm-hmm. And between football season and indoor track season, you had about a month and a half. So I went to work out with the wrestlers. Burgess was there, and a couple of the other guys were there. And Burgess was a badass too. He's humble about it though, but he could fold you up like a damn lawn chair. But I would work out with the wrestling team just for something to do between football and track. Hardest shit I ever did in my life. I give wrestlers big respect because I didn't know how hard it was.
Yeah, they grind.
They serious grind. So yeah. So any wrestlers listening, hey, big ups to you because that's serious. But as far as my background, I did Taekwondo briefly. Then I did Shaolin Kung Fu when I went to Columbus, and I trained there for a number of years. I reached brown sash there, and then when I moved to Houston, that's when I got immersed into Bushido-Kai karate. Got my second degree black there. Then when I moved to San Antonio, I started the Aki Jiu-Jitsu, reached blue belt there. But then I started the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I only reached white belt. Well, I started white belt, never progressed any further because I stopped going because of COVID. So that's kind of a snapshot of my martial art background.
Okay, so there's a gap here. We got Detroit. How long were you in Detroit, and when did we get to Texas, and how did we end up in Texas?
I was in Detroit for about 10 years. I moved to Detroit from Columbus. I was just trying to find my way in Columbus, and I couldn't really find good work. And like I told you, my boy got me in with the television department. So that's when I moved from Columbus to Detroit. I lived there for about 10 years. That's where I met my wife. And like I said, I was at Wayne State Television for some time. I left there to go to CompuWare, where I started writing code. I learned that I had an aptitude for computers. So I started doing the user interface for websites at CompuWare. So I guess that happened. And I'll back up a little bit so that the transition makes sense. When I was at the television studio, it was at the beginning of the internet and websites. So we started.
What year?
Online.
What year?
94.
Okay. Yeah.
94-ish. It might have been 5, but around then. So that's at the dawn of the whole internet thing. Netscape was still a thing. And so we would build web pages to host the videos we were streaming. So that's when I got into building websites. But then they although I loved the work and I loved my community and the environment, they just weren't paying me enough. So that's when I went over to CompuWare, where they doubled my salary. So hell, I followed the money. So I started writing code there, and that's when I learned I actually had an aptitude for computer code.
Okay.
So then I started writing code there. So that's the transition. And then I was there for some time. I got laid off. I spent some time trying to find work in the Michigan, Ohio, Indiana area. Couldn't find work. And then some buddy said, "Hey, come on down to Houston." You know, my wife had some friends from high school. They suggested to her, "Why don't you move to Houston?"
Okay, time out. So your wife, we'll get to her in a minute. Was she doing what she's doing now? I don't want to.
Yes.
Spoiler alert. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. And they told me, yeah, come on down here. You can find work and like that. And went down there and found work. And it was so easy to find a job in Texas as opposed to finding one in Ohio. It was just, or Michigan. It was just crazy how easy it was in Texas. And found work there, moved a family down there, and that's where we've been ever since.
Okay, let me ask you this. I've seen you do a lot of hand dancing. You know, you belong to this thing called the gentleman thing. Is that how you get a wife like you have named Althea? Is that how you do that?
That's funny. We met in Detroit. We didn't start dancing like that till we moved to Houston.
Okay.
Yeah. So that came later. And the gentleman thing you're talking about, it's a group that we started called Distinguished Gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
And we noticed that we go to these functions where we'd have a whole lot of ladies, lots of good looking women too, a lot of them, but they didn't have anyone to dance with. Mm-hmm. And, you know, things could be cliquish. So a lot of men want to dance with the ladies they know, not just anybody. So a lot of ladies would go get asked to dance once or twice, and I dance the rest of the night. And ladies, a lot of ladies have an aversion to asking men to dance, where we learned if you want to dance, you better ask somebody. Mm-hmm. Ladies aren't conditioned like that. So we started this group called Distinguished Gentlemen, where a bunch of guys show up, and our mission is to dance with all the ladies there.
What year was this, and how did this happen? I mean, I've seen the premise, but
right. What year did Distinguished Gentlemen get involved in Houston? I would say, 2006, maybe.
And were they fraternity brothers or?
No, just guys in the dance community.
Okay.
Yeah, a guy from Dallas moved to Houston, and he wanted to start another chapter of the group in Houston. And I was part of that group because I was pretty good with the social media stuff and keeping up and getting the word out. So I got involved with that. And because I'm a sociable dude, so it kind of made sense. And we started doing that then. So that's what that Distinguished Gentleman piece is.
So was this Quiet Storm kind of music for lovers only, or was it what kind of music? What was the genre?
It's Quiet Storm. That's funny, man. You killing me.
I've been stalking you. That's why I got a lot of
it's like mid-tempo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Think of Joe.
Yeah.
Like, you know, balladeer type stuff, like mid-tempo balladeer stuff. Tank Joe, like that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. That's about the tempo in which you dance to this stuff, you know.
Okay.
And it always amazed me how many brothers don't dance because the lady's right there. Mm-hmm. You have a 4-minute song. You have 4 minutes to touch this lady and talk as much trash as you can in 4 minutes to see if you want to even take it further, to talk to her any further or meet her again or take her out to lunch or something or coffee. You know, that's just a great icebreaker. Just dance with her and talk with her for 4 minutes. It's amazing to me how so many guys don't know how to dance. It's just
it was essential. I had to acquire that skill in college.
And there you go. It's
Sunday nights at the Empire or
there you go.
Caliber in Cleveland or
right.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah. But the Single Gentleman was fun for a while. Yeah.
So it was funny because at the reunion, people were like looking at me like, "You can dance?" I'm like, "Yeah, we have to grow somehow."
Hey, right. Yeah, man, you got to shake that ass like you used to, man.
So let me ask you this: I just had shoulder surgery, rotator cuff surgery.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks.
And luckily, it wasn't as bad as they thought. So I'm out of my sling and everything. I've had knee surgery. I didn't play football. Have you had any surgery? I'm going to need a hip at some point. I know that for sure.
Wow, really?
Yeah, yeah. I played two. I didn't play varsity sports at Shaker, and I got cut in baseball. So I played touch football and baseball and softball all the way into my 50s. I couldn't get enough.
Uh,
I went too long, I guess, and lifted weights way too hard.
got it. Okay.
How
Okay.
about you? How's your body holding up?
It's breaking down, man.
No surgeries?
Oh, I've had plenty of surgeries. I've had orthoscopic on both knees. One of them back when I was like 18 because of what happened in high school.
Yeah,
The other
ACL.
one maybe 10 years ago, because my left knee was so badly injured, I would favor my right. And then that happened, so I had a torn meniscus on my right, so orthoscope for that.
That's what I had. Meniscus there.
And I've had a few broken bones over the years. With martial arts, you just wind up hurting stuff.
Oh my God.
You know.
Oh my God. That is the worst. Since these don't have a long life and ukiing,
Yeah.
we did some crazy ass shit, man.
Yeah.
I separated my shoulder in karate. I got knocked out.
Yep. For folks that don't know what an uki is, you're just being the crash test dummy. He gets to throw you around and demonstrate a technique for the rest of the class on you. Yeah. So often you wind up hitting the ground a little harder than you want, or and it happens. But yeah.
And especially those wrist peels, those things hurt like hell.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So but I've had a few surgeries over the years. And had a few broken bones over the years, and shit happens.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like I joked at the top of the call, like running to the mailbox. I can't run anymore. Like my running days are over. Isn't
that stupid though? Isn't running just stupid?
Yeah, it's
think about it.
It's only for dumb people. But my running days are over. So if I went to that kickball game and kicked that ball, I need a pinch runner to run to first because I wouldn't be able to do it. Unless I run like a Fred Sanford, you big dummy. I'm trying to run like that. But those days are over. But I still love martial arts. I love training when I can. As soon as I get my ducks in a row, I'll probably start again. I think it's a great way to stay in shape otherwise. And,
do low impact stuff. Do stretching.
Yeah.
Do that stuff. So, okay. Texas. How do you get to Texas?
How'd I get here?
Yeah.
Well, I think I told you that when I got a buddy of mine suggested I move to Houston.
Okay, yeah.
There.
Okay, yeah.
So I've been in Houston I lived in Houston for about 10 years. Got laid off there, and everywhere they were offering me work, they were lowballing me about $30,000.
So this is the computer industry doing code and that type of stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Some writing, more project management because I don't write as much code as I used to. I got into the project management side, and but of software. As a matter of fact, you might be using some of my software if you ever used a smartphone to deposit a check into your checking account. That's my software.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I developed it I was on the team that developed it. I can't say I did it myself. I was on a team that developed it. I was on an early iteration of that software when I worked with USAA, and we have since licensed it to other banks in the country. So regardless of the bank you're with, you're likely using that software.
So
so that's
did you get a portion of the patent? Or
hell no.
Yeah. Okay.
Hell no. I wish.
Yeah.
I got a portion of the paycheck that they paid me because I was on the clock.
Yeah.
And then you hope that your evaluation allows you to keep going. You're just happy to keep a job. They buy that for $1 and give you a patent on the dinner night. Yeah.
Yep. But so that's how I wound up in Houston. Then I wound up in San Antonio because USA hired me and been here ever since. So my wife doesn't really like it here. So,
where's she from? She's from Detroit, right?
She's from Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll likely be moving within we'll likely be moving sometime in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because San Antonio has a really small airport. Although it's clean, it's kind of small and crappy. And she flies so much.
Yes.
Out of 52 weeks in a year, she's gone at least 40, 45 of them.
Wow.
So keeping that in mind, she's at the airport a lot. And every flight from San Antonio has a connecting flight, most of the time in Dallas, because we don't have direct flights hardly anywhere. Yeah. So we're thinking about just moving to the Dallas area just to cut that, cut that down. So I was actually talking with Pam Bennett about that a little while ago, because Pam and her family lives in Dallas. So she has some resources. So I'll see about getting with her people, see if I can find a house in Dallas, and all that stuff. But
did you see how cute Pam's mother or grandmother? It was her mother, right? That had a birthday. Did you see her? Yeah. 91. 91.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Well, Pam's easy on the eye, so I wouldn't be surprised if
you should see her mother. It must be her mother. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, because Pam is one of the Shaker girls that still look good. So yeah, she's one of them. I understand say it. but yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
You got to tell our audience who your wife is, because I'll tell you one thing. A friend of mine who I worked with was telling me about his jazz collection. He likes soft jazz, or I don't know what you call the genre.
Some people call it smooth jazz, but
smooth jazz. That's what I meant. Smooth jazz.
Smooth jazz.
And he was bragging about an Althea album or CD that he had just gotten.
Right. Okay.
And I told him that I was adjacent. I don't know her, but I was adjacent, and that was really fun to do. So maybe one day I'll get to meet your wife.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. A few people were expecting to see her at the reunion. Debbie Beckles was one of them. She asked, specifically, but but she was actually performing somewhere else while I was at the reunion. But well, my wife is there we go.
Very soft on the eyes. Soft on the eyes.
Right. Soul jazz flutist Althea Renee.
Are you guys doing TikTok promo videos? You need to do #BookTalk if you're promoting the book on TikTok.
Oh, well, this is actually an old book. This came out in 2017. We're looking to do a rework of this one, because a lot changed since the pandemic. Like a lot changed, and this is pretty much an overview of the music business from her point of view, as a woman in music. TikTok and videos. A lot has changed, so we're working on an update.
So get a TikTok series, because that's the platform at the moment that you'll have a lot of traction with.
Okay, it's funny you say that, because Althea just started a TikTok like maybe a couple months back, like maybe 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah,
because prior to that, I'm not a TikToker. Like that's her thing. I'm more Facebook, Instagram, but she's doing all of it.
Yeah. Did you lay out that book? Did you create that book? I'm assuming.
Yeah, I did the layout, and I'm also the co-author. So yeah. So
nice.
But Althea Renee, she is a jazz flutist. She's actually the first flute player in the history of the Billboard music charts to ever be ranked #1. She's the very first.
Okay.
And so like that was kind of cool. Her father, Desi McCullers, is one of the legendary funk brothers of Motown.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And as a little girl, she remembers days where Smokey Robinson and Diana Ross would come by the house to use the bathroom. Like it was like that in Detroit back then.
I love this show. Is just crazy, man. The Shaker connections are just crazy.
And actually, y'all remember the song like "Play That Funky Music"?
Wild Cherry from Steubenville area. Yeah, Toronto.
Her brother was a part of Wild Cherry, so her brother was in on that when he was like 19. Yeah, he was the trumpet player in Wild Cherry. So and her brother also played with Michael Henderson.
Yeah. Wide receiver. Yeah.
So she has a very, very deep musical history there. So and
Who is she? Has she performed with Jeff Lorber, or who are some people that she's performed?
Actually,
George
yeah.
Duke?
She co-wrote a song on her last project with Jeff Lorber, and she's worked with him a few times, and she's performed with him a few times. Yeah, Jeff is cool. Good. And what's wild is that I work as Althea's manager like most of the time, so I have to kind of tee up these interactions. And I'm on the phone with Jeff Lorber, and it took all I had not to squeal because I'm like a boy.
Oh,
I gotta talk like I have some sense.
yeah.
But, so that's kind of cool. And he's a good dude. And most of the cats on the jazz side are actually really, really cool. Most of them are cool. Every now and then you come across a diva, but most jazz folks are really cool. They're about the craft. You know? Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Who? Patrice Rushen. Has she done any work with her? Cross paths?
They did perform on the same stage together, but they don't really know each other.
Okay.
But I've been crushing on Patrice since high school.
Well, so did Prince. You know why he wrote "I Want to Be Your Lover"?
Yeah, and there you go. Yeah, I've been crushing on her for years. Ever since what? Forget Me Nots.
Yeah.
Patrice she's awesome.
So, as a manager, are you guys ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC?
ASCAP.
Okay.
ASCAP artist. She's been with ASCAP for years. I think well over 30 years by now. Nice. Yeah, well over 30 years now. And she had a relationship with BMI before we met, but she said something wrong with the BMI account, and they weren't. I don't know all the details, so don't quote me on it, but something went sideways with the account, and she kind of like said, "Okay, to hell with them. I'll go with ASCAP." And she's the one who has ASCAP ever since. Yeah, but yeah.
So, what is the music business like with internet opposed to albums? I mean, what's the experience? I mean, she's been in the field forever.
It's a moving target. The short story is no one knows yet. Like streaming kind of jammed up the game for everybody.
Yeah.
Because there was a time when you knew how much money you were going to make because you were selling either albums or
units. Yeah.
Actual units. You knew what you were going to make. Now with the streaming, people making fractions of a penny per stream. You know, the gatekeepers kind of worked it up in a way where, in my opinion, I think the artists are being robbed.
Of course they're being robbed.
You know,
of course, everything. You know, why not? Any art field are being robbed.
It seems like you would make at least a penny per stream. You know, because you're not dealing with the packaging, you're not dealing with mailing, you're dealing with download. At least a full penny per stream. And in many cases, it's not that. You know, you have to like several dozen, if not hundreds of pennies per stream per platform. So like all platforms aren't the same either. So yeah, it's nuts. So artists have to be more creative about how they get their music out. You know,
so she's probably making the most money touring. That's why she's touring every.
You have to keep writing. You have to keep performing. That's why you see all these oldies out there still recording, where you think they should just sit down somewhere and rake in the cash. You know, but like Frankie Beverly's still recording, where you know that he doesn't have the juice anymore.
Well, he died.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And who else? I saw a recording I saw a performance with Isaac Hayes before he passed.
How about Frankie Valli? Have you seen that?
No.
Oh, look up Frankie Valli. He looks like a corpse on stage. He's lip syncing, and there's live music behind him. He looks like one of those animatronics Disney things.
Oh, damn! But that's why you're seeing that, because the money's so funny now, you know, and you know, so now artists have to keep writing, and you have to work your royalties. You have to kind of structure what you're writing, not just what you like, but what you think will get the spins on the radio, so that you can get the licensing to get paid. So it's you have to think many moves ahead with the music. You can't just write what you like anymore.
Right.
You have to write what's going to be palatable for radio that's going to get the money back.
Has she been?
I got an idea for her.
Okay.
Side project. She does flutist versions of popular movie soundtracks, especially kung fu, the old classics and stuff like kung fu movies.
You mean like Car Wash or Shaft or something? Like do a flute
All
version?
them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Flutist interpretation,
Right.
and put those out. And another idea is finding a comfortable working relationship with AI.
It's funny you bring up AI because I'm
Yeah.
actually studying AI now. I'm in a boot camp with a local university here, a UTSA.
Yeah.
We meet 3 nights a week, 3 hours per class, and it's like a 6-month boot camp. So I'll graduate in April sometime.
Okay.
But I'm learning AI, and it's not just using the tools, but I'm actually writing Python code.
Yeah.
How do you feel? How do you feel about that? To come to terms with where you've been, it's just so hard for me.
My attitude is it ain't going nowhere, and I better learn it. Because truthfully, it does terrify me, but it's not going anywhere. And I don't want to be like the guy that, the last one to get a smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
Where business is passing you by because you're too stubborn to get a smartphone like everyone else. I don't want to be that dude. And I know AI is not going anywhere. I better get in on it and make sure I understand it. And it's like with firearms, the more you understand it, the less you fear it.
Is that more for your wife's business, or how do you see the applications of AI in some of your other endeavors?
The truth is I'm not 100% sure yet. Since I have a background in finance and financial planning, I know there's a way to mesh it. Mm-hmm. I'm just not quite sure what that is yet. I need to understand AI better, but I know there's something there. I'm just not sure what. Okay. And I also know that as far as Althea's career, there's an AI thing there too. But again, I'm not sure exactly what that is yet. So I'm still new to the game. I'm trying to figure it out. James Wilson, he's an AI expert, and also your boy Dave Salvatore.
Wow.
He's also an AI expert out in California. He's like a big deal at
NVIDIA.
There we go. I was butchering the name, but he's a big shot there. So my wife,
I got stock in NVIDIA, by the way. So we'll get to your financial stuff.
I hope so. I do, but I missed that train. I should have got it when it was cheaper. I kicked myself about that because initially they were like soundboards and motherboards, and that's what I knew them for. The whole AI thing was new and it caught me off guard, and I didn't jump on it when I should have. I'm like, damn, that sucks. But Salvatore is a good resource for that. So because we host our own podcast, I want to bring Salvatore on to talk about the AI influence over music because he's also a musician.
What's your podcast? How did I miss that? How did we miss your podcast? I assume that you're a natural for it. So
it's more Althea than me. Lately, I've been just kind of getting in on it just to sort of be like her Ed McMahon. Okay. I'm kind of like that. I tee it up for her. Yeah. But it's called The Artist Advocate, and you can see. Well, we finished our first season. You can see the first season on YouTube, and and we pretty much talk with people in the business about the music business, about whatever their expertise is. And we've had people that would press CDs and where they think it's going. We've talked to promoters about various things. We talk to producers about stuff. We just talk to different experts and get their take on certain aspects of the music business.
I got somebody for you. You want if you're looking for guests?
We're always looking.
Yeah, Fiona Bloom. Look up the Bloom Effect. She works in
the Bloom Effect.
Yeah, she works in publicity and PR. She's done indies and majors, and but yeah, the Bloom Effect. Fiona Bloom. If it's interesting to you, I'll just do a direct connection.
Yeah. Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
So Luther, when did you start getting into the financial planning? I remember you went to Phoenix University.
Yeah, I went to the University of Phoenix for a while. Got my MBA there. What made me get into the finance side? It's a progression. It's kind of a story. TMI, I lost a lot of money at about 40. And it was bad investments. I took some bad advice and I lost a lot of money. Imagine everything you accumulate up to 40 years old. Imagine losing all of it and starting over. That's pretty much what happened.
Was that when the crash hit? Was that
it was just before the crash, but the crash didn't help.
Okay.
And it made it worse. So I've been in rebuilding. So then when I got the job at USAA, I was actually working at USAA Bank. I was on the bank side.
Okay.
So I've been working in banking for over 10 years.
How did you get there with all the, I mean, what qualified you for that? You're a master of everything. How did you?
Well, the banking side, remember I worked in IT. So I was on the IT side of the banking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so most banks are IT companies that handle money. Like most are IT.
Okay. Yeah.
So I worked at the bank as a user interface person. So I was the guy that would help design what the interface looked like. Like some people would say, what does UI producer do? Programmers build an application so that it works. I would design it so that your grandmother could use it.
The user interface, yeah, UI.
Basic.
I would design it so that it's easy to use. So that's what I did there. And the process of working there was we would have to interview bank members, customers, about various parts of their finances and how they understood money, how they understood credit cards, how they understood consumer loans, how they understood the stuff. And it became very, very clear to me that the average American has no clue how money works.
Mm-hmm.
Have absolutely no clue. And most are severely underinsured. Most and people our age, you'd be surprised how many people have no retirement. They just clueless, and it was just heartbreaking to just learn all this stuff. So that's when I decided to, one, work on my PhD in business finance, and two, to become an expert on money. So that's when I started working with New York Life and other institutions to try and understand how to help people and how to develop my own understanding. And I've been working on the PhDs for the past 8 years-ish. It's taken way too long. But I'm actually working on my dissertation now. I was hoping to be done this year, but that ain't going to happen. So it'll probably be January, February next year. But it's an effort to help allow myself to understand so that I can help others put themselves in a better position. Because, and this is going to sound a little conspiratorial, but I firmly believe that the powers that be want people stupid.
Yes.
They want you to not understand how it works. They want you just drowning in debt. They want you to be needy. They just don't want you to understand what's going on.
No,
of course.
So I've been working to try and understand it better myself so I can help others.
I have a question about that.
Sure.
You need to go back into history, and you need to look up the Crane Paper Company.
Say that again. The what company?
The Crane Paper Company.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Because they have been printing. They've been supplying the paper to print our money for over several hundred years.
Okay.
It's fascinating history to bring you up to the present.
Okay.
And provides reference and context. And to your point, there is a connection to your point about the purposeful dumbing down of the populace, especially when it comes to money education.
It's terrible here, especially now. And I don't know how far it'll go. And I don't want to talk about our new
yeah, we know.
president too much, but we don't know what that's going to look like. As far as, the dismantling of the education, Department of Education, what that's going to look like, what's going to come up in its place.
How about a Social Security? Dr. Oz is going to be managing that, and he has companies that deal with privatizing. He's trying to sell companies that privatize our Social Security.
It's going to be. I don't know what
the Federal Reserve. They're going to loot the Federal Reserve, and
it's going to be crazy how that works. I just don't know what's going to happen. And there's a saying I have. It's tough to have a narrow mind if you have a fat passport, and if you travel the world, you will see that other children are vastly more prepared than American children.
Of course,
just with the education. I mean, it's my wife and I were in France a couple years ago, and just watching these kids just talk and communicate and learn and just do. They were so far beyond American kids. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
But we're arrogant enough to think that we're on top of everything. You know.
I hate to say this, don't take this personally, but I think the United States is the Texas of the world. We don't take our time to learn everyone else's language.
Uh-huh.
We think we're the biggest, the most brash people in the world. We expect everyone to cater to us.
If not for our military, we would have been conquered a long time ago. Our military is so badass, we keep everyone else in line.
To a point.
And we don't know how long that's going to last, because the whole, I don't know if you're hip to the BRICS thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Where folks are trying to change the currency, and
Yep.
people are trying. The only thing that's helping us there is that they don't get along well enough to collaborate.
You're right.
But if they got along better, we would be a third world nation inside.
Yeah, because as soon as they move away from the dollar, then
Yeah.
But Britain. I'm sorry, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, in any one of those combinations, they are going to defy the so-called edict by Trump about stepping away from the dollar. They're gonna try him.
They will.
Yeah, they're not gonna just sit back and say, okay, we're not gonna go forward with BRICS. No, this BRICS is going to be a reality whether the U.S. likes it or not.
It's going to happen. Now, will it happen within our lifetime? Don't know.
But the empire is imploding, and
it's bad, and we have so many people that just don't have a clue, and the number of people that didn't even vote at all. Like, if you voted one way or the other, okay, yeah, you might have your reasoning, but the people that were just apathetic enough to not even show up.
How liberal is San Antonio? I know Austin is very liberal, and how has the environment changed? How do you feel there?
Well, the day to day is no different. Like, see, Texas is really wild because the day to day here is fantastic. The weather's great. The people are polite. The economy is pretty good relative to.
Everybody got guns. I like that.
Yeah. And I have one right here. But here we go. There we go. Yeah, I don't play, but and then I got others in the closet. But like the day to day here is fantastic, and most people are very polite. Mm-hmm. Most are cool. Yeah. My wife was in Michigan about 2 years ago, and some teenagers called her a nigger in Michigan. We've been here since 2005. We've never had that type of interaction. So people think Texas is one way, but the day to day is actually pretty good. Now, I don't have any daughters. I ain't trying to get nobody pregnant. My wife ain't going to get pregnant, so that's not really an issue for us. Mm-hmm. But some people, it is an issue. But like the day to day is cool. The socio-political stuff is kind of weird, but the day to day is good if that makes sense. Because it might be hard to imagine, but
the closer you are to the border, the little spicier it is.
And it's funny you bring that up, because here, that's a big deal to some people. Like, that's a huge deal, and I mean, it is a deal. I don't want people sneaking over and document, of course, and like nobody wants that. But the way some people behave about it, you would think that they've had a personal negative interaction with some of these people, and often that's not the case. They just really feel passionate about keeping what's ours and not letting anybody else get to it. So
Texas is a republic, theoretically.
Yeah,
not a state. A republic.
Texas is
Texas.
Yeah, right. It's the cost of living is good. People are polite. The weather's good. The day to day here is great, but some of the other stuff can be a little weird.
Yeah.
But Ohio's kind of weird too.
I didn't realize how. I mean, once you cross the bridge to get to the west side, which I didn't until after high school, and I stayed in town to go to the Cleveland Institute of Art. It was a different world. I was like an alien. the people I went to school with at Cleveland
Yeah.
Institute of Art, University Circle, you know, the West
Fair enough.
Side. I met those people, and they would ask me these dumb questions about why do black people do this, and I'm like, well, why do white people ask me these questions? I said, if I equated every white person to the questions you're asking me, I think you're all stupid. That's how I feel.
Right. This goes back to what I said earlier too, is that I'm just so thankful we all grew up the way we did in Shaker, you know, loving parents, good people, good friends, you know, a good support staff, whether they're teachers or hell, even law enforcement. I didn't grow up afraid of the police. You know, I thought Shaker police were cool, you know, and it wasn't until I got to Columbus where I started to look at police a little different.
Oh yes, Columbus police on High
Yeah, Columbus
Street.
was kind of wild.
Yeah.
In Columbus, my goofy ass, I didn't even realize I was being profiled until I didn't know. I thought everybody was being treated the same. So this was back when I was working at the mural company. I happened to get a ticket, and I'm like, wow, this is felt unjust to me. Like they pulled me over for no good reason and gave me a ticket for some BS. And then I went and it happened on my lunch break. So I came back to work and I'm fuming and I'm bitching about my ticket. And then other coworkers, they were like, wow, I haven't had a ticket in 5 years. I'm gonna stop by the police and I don't know how long. And one guy said, yeah, I got a ticket like last month, but prior to that, I ain't talked to a police officer in almost 10 years. I'm like, wow. And at the time I was driving a black 1977 Chevy Monte Carlo. So it was one of them real big boats. And I
had one of those.
You see, I got pulled over almost once a month. So in a year, I got pulled over between 10 to 12 times. I thought that was customary because I'm living in a college town. They were just pulling everybody over. No, they were just pulling over my black ass because I had that car.
Yep.
So I'm like, wow. So that kind of freaked me out. When that light bulb came on that I was actually being profiled, I'm like, wow, that kind of blew me away. Because all that time I didn't know.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, think about, you know, Ohio. I mean, outside the main cities, everything is deep red.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Billy just mentioned that a second ago. You know, shout out to Billy Abshaw. But
I mean, we got a lot of sundown towns in Ohio.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mayfield used to be a trip. I remember my dad would tell me, like, you didn't go to Mayfield.
Yeah.
You know, now it's no big deal. But then you didn't go to Mayfield. You just didn't go there.
You don't want to really go way up too far up Chesterland, because there are some places you step in.
Chardon, yeah.
Just like,
right.
You know, oh, here's a story. So I got laid off. I got a job at Century Safe in Rochester. So I was looking for work, and I was actually commuting from here, working at American Greetings, doing freelance, and maybe hope to turn it into a job.
Okay.
So finding a place to live, James lived in Chardon. And I will never forget, I came over, he says, hey, meet me at this bar in Chardon, and I'll meet you there. So James is a red sash master jiu-jitsu black belt.
All right. Okay.
And we were thick as thieves, so we've run into some stuff, you know, because he's a hothead, and he was a hothead when he was younger, and he had this new karate tool on him. So there was always, the way he carried himself, there were always people challenging him. And I used to always be there for some reason. We've had guns pulled on us. Crazy. I got to get him on the show. So we're waiting at the bar, and Pittsburgh Pirate, guy with the braids, Mick, I forgot his name. I always forget names when I'm on this show. So these two white guys were at the bar, and he goes, they start talking amongst each other. And you know, you have a sense of things, you know, you feel a vibe. And I'm like, I know they're going to say something.
Okay.
And they said, he's a nigger, but he's our nigger. And I turn around to James and I said, did you hear that? He goes, no, I choose not to hear that.
Wow.
And I said, okay, did you hear it this time? He goes, I choose not to hear that, because what's going to happen? We're going to rearrange furniture, rearrange these drunk guys, and we're going to end up in jail,
There
basically.
you
I don't know
go.
if he said those words, but
Pick your battle.
that's the reality. Oh, by the way, do you guys have Netflix?
Yeah.
Check out this, man. I consumed it. I could not help watching. It's called Madness. Watch that. Write that down. That is, usually I don't find like great stuff.
Coleman Domingo.
Yeah,
He's a PR person. Yeah.
It is amazing, and it tells our story. It really, really does. Like
Wow,
what
that's
we're going
crazy.
through. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, one thing about you, Luther, you stay positive. You're always positive. Where does that come from?
Wow, I never heard that. That's an interesting question. Maybe it's just my natural personality. I don't know.
What's your zodiac sign, Luther?
I'm a Pisces, February.
Yeah.
You know what?
February or
You kind of blew my mind with that question. I don't know.
You light up a room. People know that you're there. When we went into the gym when we're on the tour, I knew what you were going to do, and I knew it was like we haven't seen each other for 40 years, and we weren't particularly close, but I know you. I know who you are and where you are. Your presence is felt wherever you are.
Well, that weight room was badass though. But yeah, but as far as staying positive, I guess, I guess I look at it as, I had a really good life. Both parents both loved me, had good friends. I know so many people that their lives are shit.
Mm-hmm.
What do I have to complain about?
You're great.
I mean, yeah, everything isn't perfect. I mean, things could be better. I could always have more money or more whatever. But I know so many people where their lives are just crap. Life's good.
And you know your personality lends itself, because I was looking at the stuff that you've gotten into. You've always been on the leading edge of things. Like, for instance, you're into where did I write it? The user interfaces. You were into writing code probably before people were going to school to write code. And then you were, interaction design. You're doing interaction design like most of my people that were in industrial design, selling things.
Right.
Now things are experiences.
Right.
So you pretty much were in the lead of that. You were one in the before. It's just fascinating. I think it's your personality that
maybe you're onto something about that. I just like learning new stuff.
Yeah.
On one hand, the practical side is that I like learning new stuff, and if it seems cool, I want to learn about it. On the other side of that is, in 2018, I lost my mom, and she had suffered from vascular dementia. I don't know if either of you have ever.
My father in 2012. Okay. Yeah.
Dementia's a bitch, man.
Oh, it really is.
And my mom was one where she had multiple degrees. She was very smart. She spent her whole life filling her brain with stuff, and then to watch it just turn to mush, that was heartbreaking. And watching that happen was terrifying for me, And I read somewhere that you just got to keep feeding your brain in an effort to keep the elasticity, to keep it pliable, keep doing stuff. So I'll probably keep trying to learn something in a structured way until they put me in the ground, just because I'm scared of losing my wits. If that makes sense.
Well, let me ask you this. I have family history of dementia specifically, even very, very close in my family. I won't say who the people are,
right?
Because I don't want to put them on Front Street, but there's a possibility that it could be me. And I remember my father complaining or just talking about losing his memory in his 50s, and him picking up the computer and him ordering newspapers in different languages so that he could keep
There
his
you
brain.
go. Yeah.
And teaching himself a new language. He was always active into his 50s, 60s. And when he got it when he was 86, when it really debilitated him. That's the word.
Got it. Okay.
And yeah. So, do you have any history of that in your family besides your mother?
My mother's the only one where it was very prevalent. But this was interesting. She was in a facility before she passed, and the manager of the facility, while taking my brother and me on the tour, she said something really interesting. She said that a lot of like intellectually gifted people succumb to that. There's something about being smart that makes you more of a candidate for Alzheimer's or dementia than maybe the average person. And I'm like, wow. And she cited how a lot of doctors, attorneys, engineers, they wind up succumbing to that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I never considered that part. The people that are the smartest wind up really getting hammered with it later. And so that was kind of heavy. So, you're kind of on the brainy side. That might be an issue.
Well, we talked to Dave Udoff, and I threw some words at him and asked him what he thought about it. And back in the day, if you were ADHD, if you had attention deficit disorder,
right.
that went against you. And now these days it's celebrated. If you look at Musk or Elon Musk, I mean, he's whatever divergent, whatever
he's on somebody's spectrum.
Yeah, he's on the spectrum, and they say most of these people that start businesses, or you're brilliant actors or what have you, they're dyslexic or they've got some sort of, they have to divert their attention to something, and I think they're highly focused of what they go after.
That makes sense.
I think that's what's coming out of these studies. So, man, it just blows my mind. Our past, you think about the basement school, and then you think of all the creativity that's come out of that, and things that we've learned, and all that stuff. And that which you told me is fascinating, but yet scary as well.
Yep, there you go.
So, what's a typical day in a weekday in the life? I mean, I'm thinking about what your wife does. I'm thinking about what you're involved with. What are the things that you're involved with on a day-to-day basis?
Every day is different. Yeah, I would kind of like for days to kind of be more cookie cutter. It might make things a little bit easier to keep up with. But okay, wake up, play with the dog, walk the dog. I want to get the dog out of the way. I start answering emails, depending upon if I'm doing something for Althea, if I'm doing something for work, if I'm doing something, it just depends, but I'm typically moving all day. Like I said, I'm still working on my PhD, so I might start writing. Actually, as soon as we wrap this up, I gotta look at what my teacher wrote. My mentor replied to one of my homework assignments, so I need to know what that is.
Were you attending school? Are you online, or are you
it's on
campus? Okay,
it's Capella University. I do everything online now. I mean, I was always an online dude. I preferred that, but now after COVID, with more things online and it's more common, I have to, But yeah, so but my mentor is actually here in San Antonio, so that's cool. But most of the stuff we do is virtual. So I turned in an assignment. I need to figure that out because I really hope it's finished. Like the sad thing is that I write a paper, turn it in. I think I slam dunked it. She returns it. It got red X's all over the place. I'm like, shit. just like Shaker. But it just depends what's going on. Also, when we wrap this up, I have some AI homework I got to do. So I got to get on that and write some Python code and figure that shit out. So it's just busy.
Open Sesame. Open says me.
Open says me.
Yeah. That's where Open Sesame came from. It's all about the prompt.
Yeah.
if you haven't already, sign up with Google Labs, and if they bring you in, they'll give you stuff to play with, like Image FX. They got an AI music program, and they have the advanced with their version of Chat GTP, which is Gemini.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's all about the prompt. And
There we go.
Large language models.
Good shit.
Well, we're gonna let you get to it. It was great having you on. Like you said, you're a true Renaissance man.
Oh, really are.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And you don't look a day older than the last time I saw you this summer.
I look a day older than I did in July. Yeah. Well, it was great seeing everybody. It's great seeing you guys now. Keep up the great work, man. And I love how you guys are being consistent with the podcast, with the message. You're finding interesting people to talk to. So yeah, man, keep up the great work, man. I dig this. I dig what you're doing.
Oh, in leaving, who do you think we should bring on?
Who should you bring on? Has Eric been on yet? Eric Harris?
No, we need Eric.
Okay, bring him on. He's a good one. I'd like you to talk to Dave Salvatore. He's a good one about the AI, man, because we had a great conversation.
He was, I grew up with him in Ludlow. Okay.
Yeah, Dave is one of those smart dudes that's kind of humble about it, but that dude got some serious cerebral acuity going on up here, man. That's a smart dude.
Funny story about him and I. 6th grade, we raided his parents' liquor cabinet. Went back to school lunchtime drunk.
Oh, jeez.
Damn, that's badass.
Yeah, that's why whenever I see Martini and Rossi, it brings back that horrible memory of like everybody just taking sips from the bottles.
Right. That's funny.
I got my.
I know Salvatore hitting the bottle like that, man. I know that, man. That's funny. Who else? So, I'd like you to do. How many ladies have you had on?
Not enough.
If you could find Lorna Wisham.
We found her. We can't accommodate her schedule. At least
really? Oh man, because she'd be great. She has a very interesting background. Who else? Man, you asked me this question too quick. I mean, I wish I was prepared with a list because I'm sure there's some ladies that could really have some really good stuff. Adriana Drake Glenn. She might be good.
Yes, Adriana.
She might be good. Yeah, because she's like a crazy overachiever, sweet as pie too. But behind her name's a damn alphabet soup. She got so many damn accreditations and accomplishments. She's a badass in her field, and she could talk about Lomond and all sorts of other stuff. So yeah, she'd be good for that too.
I'll reach out to her.
Yeah, I think she'd
Georgetown.
Yep, good stuff. Okay,
all right.
Yeah. Well, this has been a wonderful 2 hours. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I feel like I am somebody now, so thank you.
I've always been everybody. You've always been somebody.
Push excel. Push excel.
Yeah.
Next week we have James Levy. Levy in the house. Yes.
Okay.
So thank you everybody for tuning in to the Shaker Heights with the 3 water signs. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, ladies love them Scorpios. They can't get enough of the Scorpios.
And forgot about the Scorpios. So there you have it. Thank you again for listening. Check us out on all the platforms, and we'll see you next Sunday with James Levy. All right. Until next time, it's the Shaker Heights. Experiences may vary.
Try to do the shaker sign. I try to make one up. There we go. There we go. Shaker.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Wait a minute.